Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 594. I'm Bryan Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Golden Angel from goldenangelromance.com, heartwarming, bottom-warming, USA Today best-selling romance author. Oh, my goodness. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited. I'm glad we get to do this again. I mean, you and I feel like we're kind of like kindred spirits. We're both extroverted theater people.
Yeah.
We both think that authors, we talked about this last week, just authors continuing to move the goalposts. When did you realize personally that you were moving the goalpost and you were like, stop the insanity, to bring back the 90s video? Stop the insanity. When did you decide that?
My husband wouldn't let me forget it. Because all the time I would be like, oh, well, when I'm a real author. Or like I would always caveat that I wasn't a real author, and he's like, but you've written 20 books. And I'm like, but I self-published. I mean, because when I started publishing, it was back in 2012 when there was a huge stigma against self-publishing. And obviously it's gotten better over the years, and obviously the way that I perceive it has changed over the years. But, I had this idea of like, oh, well, when I get an agent, if I ever get an agent, maybe I'll feel like a real author. Then I got the agent, and I was like, well, maybe when the book actually publishes. So the book published, and then I was like, well, but that could have just been a lucky one-off. Maybe if I get a second book published through like TradPub, and then if that happened, and I was like, well, maybe when if like I ever hit the USA Today bestsellers list, and then that happened. It's like at a certain point. So for me, when the first time I really felt it deep in me, because there was nothing. What I had to eventually realize was there was nothing external that was going to make me feel like a real author. It really had to come from inside me, because the goalposts were always going to move. Because I could always find a reason why I hadn't really hit that, why it didn't count. And so I had to really start counting it. But the first time I really felt like a real author was when I went to CalypsoCon as an author, because Calypso Masters was one of the original BDSM authors that I read, that I looked up to. She was one of my heroes, and she invited me to be an author at her convention, of which there are less than 10 authors there every year. And I got there, and this was again one of those things that I was like, oh my God, wouldn't it be so cool if one day I got to do CalypsoCon, and I'm standing there, and this was not like a list, this wasn't like it wasn't this ephemeral thing that I'm at this convention. I'm standing there, I'm standing next to Callie, we're talking, she's so happy I'm there, and I started it. I think because like it was feet on the ground, that's when it started to feel really real. And I'd had flashes before, I'd had moments before. Logically, I knew I was a real author. But I think being in that space did make a difference for me. And I don't know if that would be considered an external thing, but that was when I finally started accepting, and that kind of triggered the process of me being able to accept myself as like, yeah, I'm a real author. Like, this is my job. This is what I do. I am an author.
Yeah. I've been reading this book. I'm going to blur parts of it, but it's essentially rich as F. It's so good. And one of the things that the
I think
author...
That's on TBR.
Read it. I'm telling you. And so the author, Amanda Francis, she talks about this. Not that I haven't heard this kind of thing from other people, but you're worthy just because you are.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that you had this moment of, it's real. I'm at CalypsoCon. This is amazing.
It was a whole weekend. I couldn't escape it.
I know. You can't get away from feeling amazing. But you're worthy just because you are. And at any point you can say you're an author and that you're real and legitimate. And I've been trying to take that more to heart myself.
I mean, you wrote a book. That's the thing that I tell other people too. So eventually I think it started to sink in, where they're like, well, I don't really feel like an author. And I'm like, well, but you wrote a book.
Yeah.
And I actually, for a keynote speech recently, I looked up some statistics, and 82% of Americans want to write a book, Less than 1% of Americans will finish and publish their book.
Yeah.
So if you have written and published a book, you are already in less than 1% of the US population.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've already done the
Yeah.
hard part. So
Exactly. Exactly. So I love that. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Let's go into the top story of the week. Reclaim your joy.
Yes.
Quote, every choice you make in your writing life comes from one of two places, fear or joy, says Colleen M. Story. Fear-based choices often aim to protect you from disappointment or rejection, end quote. Unfortunately, because they pull you away from the joy of writing, they can lead to the very problems they're trying to avoid. Quote, love-based choices come from a place of abundance and self-trust. They remind you, you're already a writer. The story matters, end quote. Once you acknowledge what a difference each can make, you can make small conscious changes in how you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, quote, I have to write 500 words today, try, I get to spend a little time with my story today. Instead of, I'm not selling many copies, try, 5 people bought my books. That's 5 readers who might love it. Stick with more love-affirming self-talk, and over time, you'll reshape your relationship with writing. If you're writing from a place of fear instead of joy or love, writing can feel like a daily battle, and one that you'll never win. By shifting your perspective, writing can not only be a space you can return to, but a place of joy you'll look forward to returning to every day. Quote, so this week, I invite you to pay attention. When you feel resistance or anxiety creeping in, ask yourself gently, am I choosing from fear or love? So, Golden, this fits in perfectly with what we were just talking about. What did this make you think about?
Oh, all the work I've been doing with Becca Syme and Claire Taylor on Clifton Strengths and Enneagram, because especially I became a full-time writer in 2020, and the very first thing I did was hit the ground running with fear, because at the time, my husband was a stay-at-home father for our daughter who was not in school. We had been planning on sending her back, but he was a full-time dad, and COVID, so that wasn't going to change. And I left my day job, and although I had been earning enough to be able to do that, like, that was a huge leap. And then I was terrified that I was not going to be able to keep up the income to support my family. And it made it so difficult to write. And it was during that time period that I found Becca Syme's work and dove into Strengths, which helped so much. By the time I hit burnout a couple years later, again, lots of fear-based stuff, and even though I'd been working on stuff, but I found Claire Taylor and Enneagram work, and just being able to really work through the fear, I think is the reason that I've been able to sustain my author career.
Yeah. To quote Claire's book, Sustain Your Author Career.
Exactly.
Which I helped come up with the title for, which I'm very proud of.
It's a great title.
I love Claire's book so much.
How about you? Are you choosing from fear or love?
I definitely used to choose more from fear, but I'm choosing more and more from love as I go along, and just like it's so interesting going out there. And now in addition to the courses, we run ads for authors, and they pay us what I would have thought of a long time ago was just a lot of money to do this, so that my team is paid fairly. My team is my most important thing. I want to make sure they're compensated fairly because I love them.
Yeah.
But like thinking about, if I'm reaching out to somebody and I think they're a good candidate to work with us, if I think of it as oh my gosh, they might hate me because I'm emailing them, that's going to be one thing. But if I think like we have an opportunity to help that author reach tons of more readers, and to not have to do the hard work of running the ads themselves.
Yeah.
So we're going to get them more readers and save them time.
Yeah.
And that's going to bring so many readers joy.
Yeah. It's a really good, it's a hard shift, but it's such a good one.
It is hard. It is hard, but definitely a good one to have. So Golden, this probably ties into when you were having.
I realized I was like, oh man, this like ties right in.
When you were having the burnout, and all of the things you were experiencing going into that. When did you find that your writing was not coming from a place of joy, and what did you do to kind of go back to that place of joy?
So it was when I went full time was the hardest. My burnout actually had very little to do with my writing. And so I was able to write a lot during burnout still, because that was my escape from all the things that were burning me out. But when I went full time, and I was so terrified, and I wasn't getting my writing done to the level that I wanted, and I had, jumped in, and I knew that there was more that I needed to learn about the actual publishing side of things and marketing and all the things to make sure that my business was going to be a success. And so I wouldn't let myself read fiction.
Yeah.
I would only let myself read craft books, marketing books, publishing books, all the things that were going to help me be a successful author. And every day I was getting less and less words, and I was terrified. And I was like, I'm going to have to go back to my day job, which I had discovered during the pandemic. I didn't actually like my day job. I just liked the people at the workplace. And so working from home was actually very painful. I liked writing, and I liked reading and learning about all these things, but I felt, to quote Bilbo Baggins, I felt like butter scraped over too much bread. Trying to pull this creative stuff and write this book and write these books that I knew I needed to make money. It no longer was fun money. It was money that I needed to make. And that was when I found Becca Syme's book, Dear Writer, You Need to Quit. And she talked in there about authors who will not let themselves read fiction for fun because it's fun. And she's like, but it's not for them. It's a necessary part of their writing process. Reading is work. You are supposed to be reading. And I cried. Because I felt so seen, and I went and I started reading. I put down that book. I went and read like 5 books in a row. I just inhaled them, and I started being able to write again. And then I was like, this chick knows what she's talking about. And so I went down a massive Becca Syme rabbit hole. I'm a #1 input if you are into Clifton Strengths at all. So I went down a massive rabbit hole. But that was what I did. Was I had to find. I was denying myself the fun, one of the funnest parts, which for me has always been reading. I've always been a reader. That is like who I was as a child. Like I always had a book, and always my nickname in high school was Bookworm. They called me Bookie for short. Like this is a lifelong identity, and I wasn't letting myself read the things that I loved. And so once I was doing that again, surprise, writing was fun again. And everything went up from there. So
I love it. I love it. But glad you found Becca at that time.
Yes, it was the perfect time.
Yay.
But as it's not just about writing. So today's authors do a lot more than just write. So how do you keep motivated to do the non-writing work? Because I just talked about motivation for the writing work.
There are some things you can't get rid of in marketing that might not be your favorite things. And if you're making enough money, you can usually outsource those. But if you're not quite there yet, setting up a few ads and running and getting people on an email list and emailing them, these are some things you might not like. And you kind of put that in a 20% bucket. 80% of what you do to market your books will likely be more effective if you enjoy it. And I think that even people who hate social media, hate ads, hate all these things that people talk about as marketing, you can still find something that counts as marketing to promote your books. Writing can be marketing. Plenty of things can be marketing. And if you are spending your the bulk of your marketing time on things that you actually kind of enjoy, it is going to keep you more motivated.
A lot easier.
It's a lot easier. And look, here's the thing with courses, because I'm going to put out my course soon. There's going to be lots of courses. There's always lots of courses, right? I think my course is going to be great, but it still may not be for you if you're really just focused on, oh, well, this fancy person figured out this fancy way to do a thing. I should probably do that.
Oh.
If you're saying I should probably do that, but it's not coming from a place of joy, don't get the course. I should probably do that. Maybe if you haven't ever tried it and you don't know if you'd like it, that's a little bit different. But if you're like, I know I would hate doing this thing, but I should probably do this, don't do it.
That is such great advice. That is such great advice.
Thank you. I wish I'd always followed it.
Right?
Oh,
do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. I'm getting better. But great discussion here, Golden. Let's go into the lightning round. Lightning sound from you. Let's do it. Ooh, that was good. You did the same hand motion as we see on the video, but we'll do it in slow motion. That was really good. Golden, why do you think it's important to meet up with fellow authors on Zoom or in person to preserve your sanity?
This is a lonely job. And I think even for introverts, there comes a point where you need community. You need people who understand what is going on with what you are doing. I know for me, I am incredibly lucky to have a very supportive network of friends and family. But if you don't have that, you're going to need the author community even more. And even when you do have it, like I do, it is very different talking to someone who I have to explain every aspect of what I'm talking to them versus being able to talk to someone who can just have a discussion with me, I can bounce ideas off of, who knows what's going on in the industry and might have advice, might have someone I can talk to, might have a connection that I can make that can help me. This is such, and especially I think I see this so often in romance, and I don't feel like I see it quite as often in some of the other genres. There are some, but like really having a supportive network of people who are cheering you on is so important. And I see so many, it feels very big in romance spaces that I've noticed, where a lot of people are just so free with their advice. They are so free with their support. They are cheering each other on. They want to see everybody succeed. And that kind of energy is just how, like, even no matter how introverted you are, having people cheer you on helps. And then on top of that, if you're like me and you get distracted very easily, that body doubling aspect is clutch.
Oh, man.
Especially like I only do ones where we take breaks to chit chat because I need that. As an extrovert, I need that chit chat. But also when I do get distracted, I can't get distracted for very long because at some point there's a break and they're like, okay, let's talk. And I'm like, oh shoot, I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. But because there's a scheduled break, I could only do it for so long. And so the entire, it's not like I look up and the entire afternoon's gone. I look up and I'm like, oh, 15 minutes are gone. And now I'm back at like, okay, let's dive back into what I was supposed to be doing. So those are, All right. Now this one's super important to me because this is something I want to do. Tell me, how can you start your own author mastermind?
Look, I mean, I know the value of masterminds. I've been a part of several. I have my own mastermind, Pathfinders, that I run for authors, and it's great, but it costs money, and not everybody has the money. So how do you start your own author mastermind? Look, you know your people. If you know your people, you might have to organize getting them in a room and scheduling them. That's the easiest thing. Yeah. if you know your people and you can reach out to your people and they're interested and they're all available around the same time, you can be the cat herder. Sometimes it's the only way to make sure that a group actually happens. Unless you have a super organized person amongst those people and you kind of share the duties there. But almost always, I have a mastermind that I kept up with from years ago that if I organized it, it would happen.
Yeah.
And that's the best and easiest way to do it. But what if you don't know your people? You might have to go out and find them. You might have to connect with them on social media. You might have to talk to people at author conferences to find your people. And once you found a good amount of people, you can weed them out, ask them if they want to be a part of a thing, but you still might have to be the person to organize it.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part about masterminds, is that everyone wants to be in one and no one wants to organize it. So you're going to have to organize it. But it's the best way I've found, and I've gotten so much great advice from masterminds, and a lot of them from ones that I organize, and several great pieces of advice I've gotten from ones that I've paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to be a part of. Yeah. And every penny was worth it.
Yeah. I love that.
So yeah. I don't go to signing events all that often. So Golden, when should an author consider applying for in-person signing events?
When you have some money to lose.
Ooh, all the truth bombs coming out. I love it. I love it. Talk to me.
Making money at signing events is really difficult. And books are low cost items. I almost never I almost never make a profit. I almost never make a profit. If I can pay off my table and some of my travel expenses, I am a happy camper. Yeah. Paying off all of them almost never happens, except for like at local events.
Right. Because you don't have to fly. You don't have to fly,
no hotel, less meals, stuff like that. So look at the cost, and not just the cost of the signing. You want to look at your travel costs. You want to look at the hotel, like you said, the transportation, everything like that. And then ask yourself, can I afford to not make back this money? And if the answer is no, please don't go to that event.
I love this.
There are authors who do very well at them. I do think the special editions are helping because they're a higher ticket, they're a higher priced item, so the return on investment is a little bit more. But and I also forgot, you also have to add in the cost of like the swag. You have to add in the cost of the books that you're ordering. You have to add in shipping costs if you are sending them ahead of time. Like, there are so many costs involved in signings. Unless you have a big audience, that you have a big audience. Like if you're like, well, but I've got like 20,000 people on my newsletter list and a 35 to 40% open rate, and all these people have been begging me to come to a signing, you're probably fine. You're probably fine.
Yeah.
But if you're newer, if you don't have people who are asking if you're going to be at a signing, if you are thinking, oh, I'll go to the signing and that'll be the thing that kicks off my career. No, it won't. No, it won't. I'm sorry. It won't. No, it won't. It's not going to change. It's not going to be what might be life-changing is the connections that you make at an author signing with other authors and maybe with some of the super readers there. That could eventually be life-changing. But if you don't have the money for that initial cost, please don't go, because you're going to price yourself out of being an author.
Please don't go. Don't go. Don't go.
So,
I love it. All right, next question from you to me, Golden.
Speaking of big purchases, like signings, when you're making big purchases of things like travel for your business, how do you get the most out of those purchases?
Well, I think the first thing you have to think about is taxes. Remember that if you are a legit business, whether you're a single member LLC or a doing business as, you've got things like Schedule C on your 1040. If you're a different classification, like an S Corp or a C Corp, you're going to have different things. If you're going to have an accountant, they can look through certain things. Make sure, and look, I'm not a tax professional, so this is not official tax advice, but make sure that if you're making big purchases, you keep a record of them. ideally you keep them separate from personal purchases so that you can easily deduct whatever is possible from these big purchases. Secondly,
get a separate bank account. Sorry.
Yeah, get a real bank account, get a real thing, no dollars under the mattress, like real deal here. And then I'm a big fan of credit card rewards. We're taking a trip in a couple of days, and the hotel and the flight are all on points. And so we're basically just paying for food. And that is pretty much when we went to Disney this past year. It was pretty much just we paid for the food and the tickets to the park. Everything else was paid for by points. And so I'm a big fan of the Chase reward points. I have a Chase Sapphire card. It's great. Some of these have big bonuses. If you're at that level of your business, put your ads and other purchases on reward cards. I love the reward cards. So last question to you, Golden. How important is getting an understanding of finances when you're figuring out this author career of yours?
I am so sorry to say that it is incredibly important. And I love that this question got included because this is something that's actually very near and dear to my heart. It's something that I'm going to be talking about on my TikTok more coming up.
I snooped you so that I knew this would be an important question to you.
Really? It is. This is going to be what my second nonfiction book is about. And I have a new presentation that I've just started doing this summer. I'll be doing it towards the end. By the time this goes out, I think I'll have done it for the Regency Fiction Writers Conference. I'll be doing it on my own, on my presentations that I try to do regularly. And it's all about money mistakes that authors make. And the biggest three, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, but I see these things a lot. And I think that money does not get talked enough about in author spaces. We sometimes talk about how much we're making. A lot of people don't talk about the difference between net and gross. A lot of people will hear someone's gross number and be like, well, why can't I make that? Because you don't know how much they just spent to get there. Like if they're saying I made $600,000 this year, but they spent $400,000 of it, they made profit $200,000. And so, but if you're sitting there and you're like, well, I make $200,000 a year profit, but I want to be up where this $600,000 person is, you might not realize that you're actually already at their level, that you guys are making profit the same amount of money. And I think that we don't talk enough about expenses, like when it comes to the signings and spending the money on the signings and stuff like that. We don't talk about how much that costs people. We just talk about like, oh, but if you do this, it's all the benefits. It's all the benefits and none of the, hey, this is how much it costs. This is what you need to think about. This is what you need to consider. And I think so many things have gotten so expensive for authors. And they are things that are not necessarily worth spending your money on, especially maybe later in your career, but especially at the beginning of your career, you need to be a lot smarter with your money because you're making less of it. And that is one of my passion projects. So
I love it. I'm a big fan of understanding the finances as well. There's a lot of authors who are in deep debt and who are trying to spend to make money on this thing. And you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You gotta be really careful. We need a question of the week for this episode, Golden. Obviously, we talked about the joy, which is a nice subject. We talked about masterminds and signings and finances. What should our question be for today?
Oh,
I know it's tough.
I think as even the finance stuff, it's all very important. The finance stuff is very important. It is a passion for me, but I would like to end on a happier note. So I'm going to go back to the joy. I'm going to ask, what is your favorite thing about being an author?
That's a good one. What is your favorite thing about being an author? Golden has a great question here. You can answer it at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or sellmorebookshow.com. Everybody who loves romance, who loves spice, who loves heart, go to goldenangelromance.com. Check it out. And when Golden's wonderful nonfiction books are out, go check those out too. Golden, it has been such a delight to spend part of today with you.
Oh my God, it has been so much fun. I'm so glad I got to do this. It's been a blast.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. And I can't wait till your books come out so that I can read those.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. So we are going to have another wonderful guest co-host here next week. So stay tuned. We are creeping closer to episode 600 wildly. So we'll try to do something special if I can remember ahead of time to do it. But for Golden, I'm Bryan. Stay tuned for a new course coming out for authors called Royalties Rising.
Ooh.
Get excited for Royalties Rising, where we'll have some advanced Amazon ads, some advanced Facebook ads, some advanced social media creation, whole lot of six-figure mindset stuff too.
Yeah.
So get fired up for that. More on that coming soon. There's your tease. Have a great week of book selling, everybody, and we'll be back next week for episode 594. Bye.